Welcome to another episode of Game Changers for Government Contractors. I am your host, Michael LeJeune. If you are not familiar with the podcast, I highly want to recommend you go take a look at some of the other episodes. We talk about sales and marketing, business development. We have great guests on the show all the time. If you're not familiar with RSM, I highly recommend you go take a look at some of our books on Amazon. You can search my name, Michael LeJeune or Joshua Frank. You'll find some really great books. One of the ones that I really love is my latest one. It's called I'm New to Government Contracting. Where do I start? There's a lot of great resources for you. We even have a coaching community that you can join as well. I'll talk about that in some of our future episodes. But today, I want to jump in and talk about how to build a winning proposal team. Now, if you're watching this, I'm going to be looking off to the side a lot today because I got a lot of notes on this episode. And I want to make sure I cover them because there's a lot of things I want to talk about. If you're listening, you obviously won't see any of that. But I really want to jump in and talk about this because I think a lot of folks are curious of what it takes to have a winning proposal team. And there's no right or wrong for every company. Every company is going to be a little bit different. But the structure of things that I'm going to talk about today are things you should be thinking about regardless of your size, especially if you're small and growing. These are things that you can consider. If you've got a team established, you may think about reorganizing the team a little bit. The first one here is identifying the key roles. You need to outline the essential roles based on your size and based on your growth strategy, what you need to have today, as well as what you need to grow in. And one of the reasons you need to do that is so you can start to look for those people as you're out in the market, so that as you run into them, you can hire those people and bring them in. So let's talk about a couple of those. There's proposal manager, there's technical writers, there's subject matter experts, there's pricing analysts, there's graphics designers, there's even other different roles that you can have. Those are some of the biggest ones that I can think of. Out of all of that, the proposal manager and the technical writer are really, really important. If you are into deep technical documents, you may need a subject matter expert who can articulate exactly how a technology works or a system works or whatever it may be, or an architecture, that sort of thing. And that may be really important. The pricing analyst can often be somebody on your financial team. It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that's just for this. You can go out and find pricing experts and things like that. But understanding pricing is really, really big. So those are some of the main ones that you need to understand. Those are the people that are going to manage the process, get the writing done, and just take care of all that for you. So understanding what the roles are really important. If it's just you, guess what? You're all of those roles. And so hopefully you could start to hire people out. One of the first ones I would get out of there is some sort of proposal manager or writer, so that can take the burden off of you. And then I would also look at, as you're teaming, what roles do my teaming partners play with that? Whether you're the sub or the prime, what roles are they going to play into that? The next is, as you're starting to look for people on the team, here are some skills to look for. I think one of the biggest things when you're looking for this is somebody that has really good communication skills. So when you're looking at their resumes and things like that, you need to make sure they are communicating very precisely, very clearly, very articulate about the job that they want. You need to know that, because communication skills are really, really important. They need to have great attention to detail. When you are working in the proposal world, you need to make sure that everything is correct. All the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed. It looks like it's supposed to look. You have hit all of the qualifications, criteria, everything that it's asking for. You've supplied all of that. You've put all the attachments there. I had a client the other day that emailed me and said, hey, we got thrown out of the proposal mix because we forgot to attach our pricing. That cannot happen to you. That cannot happen under any circumstances to you. The next is, hopefully the person has experience with government proposals. That is a skill that you would like to see all of the people on your team with. It's not necessary, but it's a skill you would like to see. The next thing is, I do think you need to balance experience with fresh perspectives. It's really good to be able to understand, hey, this person is really good at all this. They're a seasoned expert, but they do have some fresh eyeballs that are going to look at this from a perspective that we've never really looked at it before. And that may be really, really helpful. Balancing experience and fresh perspective is important for a lot of reasons, but one of them is if your team is only made up of people that have been doing this for their whole life or their whole career, they will likely miss some things that somebody new will catch. So it's good to have people that are not too far down the rabbit hole to help you out on that one. The next one here is assigning clear responsibilities. That's easier if you have clear roles. It's very, very easy, but making sure each person on the team has clear responsibilities, that is very, very important, because you don't want proposal manager and technical writer and the SMEs all doing the same thing. People need to have very clear roles defined so that they know what their responsibilities are as well. The next one is the importance of collaboration tools. I recommend that everybody has some sort of software and tool to facilitate this. It can be simple. You could be using Monday.com. You could be using HubSpot. You could be using Google Docs. You can be using all kinds of different tools. You can be using Dropbox for all I care. But there's a set of tools that you need to standardize your process on, and that's the tools your team needs to use. All of the team. Because if your team is not using the tools and you've got 3 people just emailing back and forth, that's going to cause a problem. So you need to standardize your process and your tools and make sure the team is using them. And ask the team, hey, what's working, what's not working? Maybe we need to change some tools. That's something, which kind of leads me to the next bullet point here of training and preparation. It doesn't matter how good your team is. If you are not training them and making sure they understand your process and what you want, and just working on getting better, then you're doing a disservice to the whole team. So make sure they're well-versed on the RFP requirements, on your proposal strategies, your submission deadlines, all those kind of things. But how you do this, like, what is the process? Do we use color teams? How do we do reviews? What are we doing? Make sure they understand that and get them additional training. Just because you hired somebody who's a proposal expert doesn't mean they stop learning. The best people continue to learn for as long as they do the job. So get them continual training. The next one is communication strategies. So it's best to have regular updates and cohesive communication among your team members. And to do that, you can often run it like a project, because that's really what it is, where you have these sprints that you get together for in the morning. There's all kinds of different ways you can do this, but having a communication strategy during the process is going to allow you to be much smarter about how you manage it. So that's how you develop a winning proposal team, by putting all of these things together. Now, the other thing that I'll talk about here is making sure you have proposal reviews. How are you integrating proposal reviews to make sure you're getting different perspectives from the team and all of that, whether you're doing pink, red, gold, purple, jasmine, whatever colors you want to come up with. Like, there's all kinds of different colors, right? Whatever it is you want to call it, make sure you have those things set up so that your team can understand, again, back to the process, how we're going to go through this. Another part of it is fostering a positive team culture. So how are you going to motivate the team to go through this to get to the finish line? How are you going to motivate them? How are you going to motivate them month after month, week after week, day after day, to continually crank out proposals? You need a good way to do that. And you do that by fostering a really good team culture where they work good together. They enjoy the work. There's rewards for finishing it, getting on time, for winning. There's some sort of celebration. Even the simple things like pizza parties or dinners out, those are all great ways to celebrate not only completing a proposal and getting it sent in, but then actually winning and that sort of thing. Last here is leveraging consultants and outside experts. You can have people that help you do the writing, help you do the managing, help you with the subject matter expertise, the pricing. You can have people that do that. You can have people outside that help you find people that will help you do this. So don't be afraid to leverage those experts. Don't be afraid to reach out to us and say, hey, do you know somebody that can help with this? Is there one of the coaches on the team? Do you have a proposal writing expert? Depending on your niche, we may have somebody that can help. But overall, building a winning proposal team is not just about the people, it's about the processes. And if you can create clear processes with objectives and milestones and train that to your team, then it's going to make the people you bring onto your team that much better. And then if you can look at your team and continually level them up, continually focus on training and education, doing things like debriefs with them, helping them be a part of that so they can get the debrief feedback and understand how they have to improve their next proposal. All those things create a winning proposal team. There's probably 50 more I could mention, but those are a handful that I want to go over with you today. And I hope you got a lot out of that. If you did and you love this episode, I would really appreciate it if you go onto the app that you're listening this on, thumb it up, give it 5 stars, whatever it may be. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel if you're not already doing that, and just help us get this podcast out to the masses. Thank you for listening and watching. I hope you really enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.